these different processes.
I'm going to start recording this because then maybe she can check it out later. Okay. Text 5. Yet Sankhya Pratyate Stanam.
I think she's here.
Oh, is that? Oh, that's a doggy. What's his name?
Miko. 1 second. Let me open the door.
No, sure.
I'm going to put this down for 1 second. Sorry. Hello.
Thanks, Rob.
We're reading. Do you want to read?
I have to get ready for the interview. I'm sorry. I totally forgot.
You're fine. It's okay.
I'm so sorry. So I talked to you. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I love you. I have you answer.
No. You're good.
I gotta run.
It's 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. They get all this chocolate. Your chocolate. Yeah.
What do you need?
Oh my God. Gosh.
Hello.
Hey, if she wants to jump in the picture here, you can just turn your phone the other way, horizontally. So it'll maybe, and push it back a little bit.
She has a work interview that she has to get ready for right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe next time then.
Yeah, for sure. We'll just plan it when she's here.
Okay. Where were we? We're text 5, right? Okay. Yat Sankhya Pratyate Stanam Yad Yogar Apigamyate Ekam Sankyam Cha Yogam Cha Yat Pasyati Napasyati. Yet what? Sankhya, by means of Sankhya philosophy, Pratyate is achieved, Stanam, place, tat, that, yogai, by devotional service, Api, also, Gamyate, one can attain, Ekam, one, Sankyam, analytical study, Cha, and Yogam, action in devotion, Cha, and Ya, one who, Pasyati, sees, Sa, he, Pasyati, actually sees. Now, if you want to end at a certain time, we can actually, since there's only one person or 2 people in this recording or in this thing, you can go as long as you want. But whenever you want to, do something else or something, you just let me know and we can stop. But actually, we have all the time in the world because there's only 2 people on the thing. They cut it off at 40 minutes because then they want to get your money.
Gotcha.
For more than,
so we'll just
for
stop
3, sure, for 3 or more people.
I guess.
When do you want to stop? Or
When they stop this, I guess.
yeah, they don't stop it. What I'm saying is that it's unlimited. So however long you want to go.
Oh, maybe like 4:15.
Sure. Okay. Let's see here. Translation: one who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Go ahead, purport.
I think you just read.
I read text 5, didn't I? Or no? Or did I read the one before? I don't think we read that one.
It was just different. On mine, I think.
Maybe, just read the purport to text 5.
Okay. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by the 2 processes. By Sankhya philosophical research, one comes to the conclusion that a living entity is not a part and parcel of the material world, but of the supreme spirit whole. Consequently, the spirit soul has nothing to do with the material world. His actions must be in some relation with the supreme. When he acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. In the first process of Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter. In the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself in the work of Krishna. Factually, both processes are the same, although superficially one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. However, detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see this sees things as they are.
Yeah, there's just two different processes. Sankhya Yoga is the analytical study of the material world. And then when you study the material world, you find out that none of these things like earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, these are not who we are, because we're not this material body or anything else in material nature. We're a spirit soul. And so the goal, like devotional service also leads to that goal, but it's actually more direct, but both processes lead to the same thing. And it's called Sankhya. It's not Shankya, it's Sankhya. If it had like a slash above it, it would be Shankya, but it's actually Sankhya. Text 6, sannyasas tu mahabahos dukam aptum yogata. Yoga yukta manir brahma na chirena digachati. That's easy for me to say, right? I've been practicing for a long time, and so I've kind of gotten a little bit used to reading in Sanskrit. So,
Yeah.
I try to read, Sanskrit to my wife too, and she says that sometimes. They say that's easy for you to say, Sannyasa, the renounced order of life. 2, but Mahabaho, almighty armed one. Dukam, distress. Oh, he's participating in the Bhagavad-gītā class. What's his name again? The doggy behind you?
Oh, that's Leia.
Leia. Oh, there's 2 dogs? How many dogs do you have?
2.
What kind of dog is that?
It's like a half Chihuahua, half Jack Russell Terrier.
Yeah, it looked like a Chihuahua, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Almighty arm, dukam, distress, optum, afflicts one with ayogata, without devotional service. Yoga yukta, one engaged in devotional service. Muni, thinker. Brahma, the supreme. Na chirena, without delay. Adigachati, attains. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Good.
There are 2 classes of sannyasis, or persons in the renounced order of life. The
Mayavadi.
Sannyasis are engaged in the study of
Sankhya.
Philosophy, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras, but use their own commentary called Sariraka Bhasya, written by
Shankaracharya.
The students of this one has a lot of Sanskrit.
You want me to read the rest of it, or?
I don't know. It's up to you.
There's only 3 or 4 more.
Okay. The students of the Bhagavata school are engaged in devotional service of the Lord according to
Pancharatriki
regulations, and therefore the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot relish transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Kṛṣṇa consciousness are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple Brahman speculation, although they too come to Kṛṣṇa consciousness after many births.
Yeah, these Mayavadi sannyasis, they're following Shankaracharya, and they say, that everything is one and we're all the same. We're actually God. They refer to themselves as Narayan. We're one in quality with God, but we're not God. But anyway, they speculate on Brahman, the pervasive oneness of creation, the transcendental feature, which is like the sunshine. The sun is emitting sunshine, and the rays from the sun is like the first realization of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The spiritual rays from Krishna himself is the Brahma Jyoti, and they kind of like and want to merge into that, but they get bored because they don't have any kind of relationship with Krishna. So they get totally bored, and then they come back down to the material world, and then they engage. Even if they're liberated, they can't stay there because they're not. They're just not really having too much fun, and so they come back here and maybe open a hospital or philanthropic activities or get engaged in some kind of welfare service like that. But that's usually that happens. But they don't attain salvation because there's no shelter there. There's really no shelter unless you actually have a relationship with somebody. So that's why they can't stay there. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijnitatma jitendriya sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvanapi na lipyate. Yoga yukta, engaged in devotional service, vishuddhatma, a purified soul, vijitatma, self-controlled, jiti ten indriya, having conquered the senses, sarvabhuta, to all living entities, atma bhutatma, compassionate, kurvanapi, although engaged in work, na, never, lipyate, is entangled. Translation: one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Although always working, such a man is never entangled. Go ahead.
One who is on the path of liberation by Kṛṣṇa consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, such as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches, or by supplying food to the stomach. The energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna, nor is there a chance that he will engage in his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. He does not wish to go anywhere Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Kṛṣṇa consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because he has already been explained in the second chapter. all the assembled persons on the battlefield would continue to live individually, as the soul cannot be slain. So spiritually, no one was killed on the battlefield of Kṛṣṇa. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Kṛṣṇa, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kṛṣṇa, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Kṛṣṇa in full Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions of work.
So that's like pretty important to understand that when you actually surrender to Krishna, all your karma goes away. You don't have any more karma because it's not your responsibility anymore. Because you're simply surrendering to Krishna. So Krishna is the doer of everything, but because you're not acting on your own behalf, trying to accomplish something either good or bad, you're not going to get any good karma or bad karma. And so you're liberated from all reactions, and you don't have to, like, say, if I do something good for you, maybe you have to come back in your next life to do something good for me, because that's the way it goes around, comes around. That's called karma. But, you know, so you don't want that either. You want to be free from all karma so that you can actually be liberated from this cycle of birth and death. We're all entangled in these material reactions and actions because, you know, some people actually use that to elevate themselves, you know, the spiritual world. Like they can perform that. There's a whole section of the Vedas called the Karma Kanda section, where they can actually do pious activities like, you know, dig wells and plant trees and open hospitals and stuff like that. And then if you do all kinds of good things, then you become elevated. Maybe you take birth in the heavenly planet where the demigods live. They don't live forever. That's not the spiritual world. And that's not the heaven I'm talking about. It's within this material world, there are heavenly planets where the sense gratification and the standard of living is way, way better than it is here. And people live for like thousands, even millions of years. Like Brahma, you know, the creator of this particular universe, he lives on a planet called Brahmaloka. And one day of his lifetime, 24 hours, is different from ours. In fact, so he lives so long, I think one of his days is equal to like 432 billion years of our life. And so he lives for actually 311 trillion with a T years. Trillion. I mean, that's the my friend, you know, Devananda Pandit, you know, the guitar player, he was going to join in, but he's got a sugar shack now. He's building one in the woods. You know what a sugar shack is? It's he lives out in the forest. He built this little cabin, and he's like, you know, really down to earth person. You know, he really likes to work with his hands and work with nature. So he's got all kinds of maple trees. So a sugar shack is where you boil down the sap from the trees, and he's building a sugar shack now so he can make some maple syrup.
That's,
you know,
really cool.
Yeah. I mean, when he was rebuilding my retaining wall in front of my house here, he went into Lowe's and he didn't like it, you know, because he uses like augers, like hand augers, you know, like that. And hand saw. He doesn't use any kind of, he doesn't like to do it that way. In fact, he put together his cabin with wool sweaters in between the logs so it'll be insulated. I mean, he's like really old school. He's like super old school, you know. But when he was in Lowe's, he was like saying, I don't like this place. This place has too much stuff in it, you know.
Yeah.
So he's like a nature man, you know. Great devotee though.
Yeah, for sure.
But he says he couldn't attend the Zoom session because he's out in the middle of the woods. He's got no reception. But he thought it was at 2:00. But anyway, so that didn't happen. But anyway, text 8 and 9. You wanted to stop at 4:30?
4:15, unless you want to go till 4:30, it's up to you.
Whatever you want to do. We can read a couple more. Naiva kanchit karo miti yukto manye tatatbhavit pasyan shinvan shrishav jigran ashnan gachan swapan swasan prajalpan vishijan granan Unmisan nimisanapi indriyarteshu vartanta eti daryan. Na, never. Eva, certainly. Kinchit, anything. Karomi, I do. Iti, thus. Yukta, engaged in the divine consciousness. Manita, thinks. Tatvavit, one who knows the truth. Pasyan, seeing. Shrinvan, hearing. Sprisan, touching. Jigran, smelling. Asan, eating. Gajan, going. Swapan, dreaming. Vishvan, breathing. Pralapan, talking. Vishvan, giving up. Grihan, accepting. Unmishan, opening. Nimisan, closing. Api, in spite of. Indriyani, the senses. Indriyarteshu, in sense gratification. Vertante, let them be so engaged. Iti, thus. Daryan, considering. Translation. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and he is aloof from them.
A person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Kṛṣṇa. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his spiritual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Kṛṣṇa's senses. Therefore, the Kṛṣṇa conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in things of the senses. Activities such as seeing, hearing, speaking, evacuating, etc., are actions of the senses meant for work. A Kṛṣṇa consciousness person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord.
Okay. Breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's my headphones, but I could hear you. But can you hear me all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see here. Text 10. Brahmani udaya karmani sangam tvakta karotiya lipyate na sapapena padma patram avambasa. Brahmani, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Udhaya, resigning. Karmani, all works. Sangam, attachment. Taktava, giving up. Karoti, performs. Ya, who. Lipyate, is affected. Not never. Sa, he. Papena, by sin. Padma patram, lotus leaf. Iva, like. Ambasa, like the water. You know, like a lotus leaf, you ever seen like a water off a duck's back, or water off if a lotus leaf is in the water, if you put like a drop of water on it, it just runs right off. It doesn't become wet. Mm-hmm. So this is like an analogy. Translation: one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results to the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. You can read up to the Sanskrit, and I'll read the Sanskrit.
Okay. Here, Brahmani means in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the 3 modes of material nature, technically called the pradhana. The Vedic hymns
Sarvam etad Brahma Mundakya Upanishad Tasmad Eva Brahma Nama Rupam Anam Chajayate Mundaka Upanishad 119 and the Bhagavad-gītā 14.3 Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. Go ahead.
Indicate that everything in the material world is the manifestation of Brahman, and although the effects are differently manifested, they are not different from the cause. In the
Ishopanishad,
it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Kṛṣṇa, and thus everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Kṛṣṇa, that he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body being a gift of the Lord for carrying out a particular type of action can be engaged in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. It is beyond contamination by sinful reactions, exactly as the lotus leaf though remaining in the water is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita, Maya Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. Resign all works unto me. The conclusion is that a person without Kṛṣṇa consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses, but a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Kṛṣṇa and should therefore be engaged in the service of Kṛṣṇa.
Yeah, it's the same idea as like the what he was saying before, like the fruit of activities. When you give all your activities up to Kṛṣṇa, then you're not responsible for your bad or good karma. And so also, when you engage in Kṛṣṇa's service and devote everything to him and surrender to him fully, you're not really responsible for any of your activities anymore. Where, Arjuna was killing on a battlefield, but Kṛṣṇa told him to kill, so he's not responsible for that. It was Kṛṣṇa's will. In fact, he told Arjuna, I've already killed all these people. You can just be an instrument in the fight. And so, in 1866, the conclusion of the Bhagavad-gītā is Sarva dharman parijyaja mamekam sharanam vraja ham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayasami ma shucha. Abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender unto me. I will protect you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. And so when you surrender to Kṛṣṇa, you're not only free from karma, but you're free from all your sinful activities or your sinful reactions as well. There's different kinds of sinful reactions like that are that haven't taken fruit yet. You do something and you suffer a reaction for it later on, and then there's like stuff that you're already suffering and stuff that you've, haven't, but all these things, like they're in seed form, but this Kṛṣṇa consciousness is so powerful that it can actually eliminate or destroy all the seeds of sin and even actually stop the sinful reactions from happening while they're happening. So Kṛṣṇa indemnifies all these reactions to or whatever we do. All we have to do is surrender, and he takes care of everything, just like it said before also, even while we're doing everything, the spirit soul is not the person that's doing everything. We're not doing anything, which is fine with me because I'm a lazy bum. And so it's really kind of, you get detached from your body like, and the pure devotee, when he becomes very, very advanced in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he just does things automatically, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was so much in love with Kṛṣṇa that he was doing all kinds of things.
Sorry.
He was doing all kinds of things that just automatically, and he would, sometimes he'd forget himself and he'd go into a trance, and he would just start crying, or he'd have all these different emotions, but he was deeply absorbed in thought of Kṛṣṇa, and he was his kind of like autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
So it is 4:16, so maybe if you want to schedule another one sometime, if Miley's into it.
Yeah, maybe cool. We can in like the next day or two when Miley's home.
Next day or two, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Let me know when you can do it, and then I'll arrange a schedule, or I'll schedule a meeting, and then you can, on that stand, you can put your phone horizontally and it still charges it. Did you know that? Yeah, if the little light goes on at the bottom, you can tell that it's charging. And of course, the light goes on in your phone too.
Perfect.
The green thing on the battery, so
I'll do that.
Anyway, it's very nice to see you, and hope to see you again.
Yeah, thank you for reading with me, and we'll read very soon. Thank you for.
Okay.
Thank you a lot.
Okay, I saw you went to New Vrindavan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
What did you guys do there? I'm just curious. You got there pretty late, though, right?
Well, we got there late, but we woke up early on Sunday, and we did all the Sunday stuff like in the morning.
Oh, you went to class and everything too?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, nice. Who was giving class? Do you remember what the name was?
No, I don't remember.
Was Indian guy or devotee or white guy or girl?
I don't remember, honestly, because we woke up really early, so I know I was very tired. But I enjoyed all of it, but I don't.
But you went to the palace and all that stuff too?
Yes.
Yeah, it's an awesome place.
There.
Did you get any pictures of the swans and the?
No, there weren't any peacocks out, and we didn't see we didn't see the lake very long, because we were doing stuff around there mostly. But we got some good pictures of like the palace and That's pretty much it for pictures. Honestly, we didn't take a lot of pictures.
I just got a new phone because I washed my old phone. I put it, I forgot to take it out of my pocket. I always wear these cargo pants, you know, that has like 9 pockets in it. So I forget what I put in my pocket. And so I washed it. Actually, it was okay, but I decided to get one anyway because my wife was getting one. But this thing is awesome. I mean, if you ever have it, it's an iPhone 12 Pro Max. It's like huge. Let me see. I'll show you.
Wow,
It's like really big phone.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
but it takes the photography in it is really good because it has a stabilization. And if you take even a picture, like I'll show you the picture that I took of the of my altar. It was dark. It was like at dusk, and it was amazing because even though you could hardly see the outline of the deities in the dark, because it's like a time lapse. It automatically time lapses. It's so clear.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
And I mean, that was so dark that I could hardly see it. But this camera is like, it's got a really big sensor on it, as you can see.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
beautiful.
it takes, I've got Mashingadeva on there.
That's really
He protects the camera.
Yeah.
Even that, because I don't have any insurance on the camera. I don't want to spend any money, you know, but it's got, you know, Apple like, you know, give you, you know, a warranty on it for like a year. But then after that, I'm not going to bother, you know. Because I'm not only a lazy bum, I'm a cheap bastard too. So I like to save money because I haven't worked since March. You know, my wife wears the pants in the family.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, cool. How are you doing with your business? Are you doing anything yet, or?
Yeah, I'm studying and I'm running some challenges right now. So it's like fitness challenges, like transformation challenges.
Oh, okay.
So you see, like, I send you like daily workouts and people see. Sorry, my cat.
What is that? What's the cat's name?
Baloo.
Black cats are nice. They're not really, you know,
evil.
Bad luck.
No, they're not. They're beautiful.
Yeah,
I love them.
We're cat people. You know, my wife is just. We couldn't have cats around. Dogs a little bit, you know, little yippy yappy dogs, but I don't mind dogs, but I like cats because they're quiet.
They're chill.
Yeah.
Except Miley's cats.
So how many animals you got in your apartment there?
6.
Wow, that's unbelievable. You have a whole menagerie.
Kind of crazy, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cute. I like them.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you later, Anna. Thank you very much for your interest, and maybe we can do this again with Molly next time.
Yes,
because she comes from that background. You know, she probably knows half the things that we're talking about, but I mean, she's probably heard from her grandma at least.
Yeah, like she might know it if we brought it up again.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the next.
Okay, we'll talk to you later. Have a good evening.
Have a good day. Thank you so much.
No problem. Bye.